Welcome to the ReZonance Show.
Why, hello there! My name is Richard, and indeed, welcome to the ReZonance Show. And I would personally like to welcome you to my very first
Top 5 Countdown!
And let me just say that video game music makes me very, very happy to be a video gamer. One who's studying games audio design at university to boot. And that's because there are loads and loads of great tracks that I've heard of, and many more that I haven't. And I'm glad that video game composers are getting the recognition they deserve amongst all the other big artists out there. So, in celebration, I put together a little top 5 list of some of my personal favourite video game tracks of all time. Now, I am going to throw the spoiler alert out there, just in case you haven't played any of the games I'm going to mention. Other than that, it's going to be one piece of music per franchise. And note that these are strictly my own opinions, based solely on the games I've played firsthand, or have enough working knowledge of to be able to constructively talk about them. So now let me take you on a musical journey, as I reveal to you my top 5 favourite video game music tracks of all time.
Do you know, it's kind of funny how I'm looking into a terrible game to find the number 5 track to start this list off. Sonic 2006, as I'm sure you're all aware, was horrible, shoddy story, horribly broken gameplay, controls and physics, and an overall sluggish feel. Sonic 06 is a wholly unrewarding and unbearable gaming experience, but it did have one thing going for it: the soundtrack. As to be expected given the high quality of previous OSTs, the music is often very striking and powerful when the situation becomes rough. Let's say, for example, if you're trying to save the whole of time and space from being obliterated by an almighty sun deity. I call that pretty rough. So I think that this next track fits the bill quite nicely. Oh, since when have orchestral strings and rock guitars ever sounded this good together? The track cleverly utilises the game's signature theme on the strings together with a mighty wham bam smack up the backside backing from the overdriven guitars and drum kits. The idea was that much of a success that it would be used again for later games. It adds so much more feel and urgency to what is, and this is putting it kindly, a rather mediocre and actually quite boring boss fight. But every time the main chorus comes in, it feels like I've just drank one of those Pangalactic gargle blasters. I put this track in this list as well because for me it seemed to lift the game from its miserable depths in the very final moments. Sonic 06 itself is a nightmare to play, but you're rewarded with something worth savouring at the end of it. Now I'm going to come clean here and say that I very rarely play World of Warcraft nowadays, but there are many things I still remember about my time in the lands of Azeroth. That euphoria of unlocking new questlines for epic loot, being quickly replaced by the sudden realisation that all you do is go back and forth between places to grind for ages, trying to get meaningless shit, and then giving said meaningless shit to the people who then send you out for more meaningless shit, thus completing the circle of pointlessness. Seriously, you need the patience and zen of a Buddhist monk to be able to put up with all that and reach the top levels. And I didn't want to spend my life doing that because I have a life. But I remember the music from the game very well. Good God, the atmosphere that some of the soundtrack creates is something I can only describe as fantastic. A-star! And there was one particular track that I remember very fondly. Wow, doesn't that sound almost hypnotic? Now in Warcraft lore, Lament of the Highborn is a song that has existed for a good couple of thousands of years. and has been altered many times so that all the elven races could sing about the losses and courage of their people during recent wars. This particular track is sung in Thalassian. Basically that's elven language for all of you uneducated sods. Jesus guys, get with the times. And this track is performed by Lady Sylvanas Windrunner after you return a necklace given to her by her sister. It's also heard as a modified version without lyrics for the background music Forever Song Woods. This song is great because the vocal performance is pretty much sublime, and the somber feelings you get listening to it really penetrate into the deepest recesses of your soul. It's a song reflecting on war and death essentially, so you're bound to feel a little sad after hearing it. And at number 3, it's Halo 3! It's Halo 3. Without meaning to sound like a freaking Halo fanboy here, I love me some John 117 action, and I think it has to be said that Halo 3 has some pretty epic music to boot. You know, I love it when soundtracks combine classical orchestral movements with computer and sci-fi effects and whatnot. It works really, really well. Oh, of this I do approve. The story of Halo 3 overall is pretty great, especially for the final mission. Not only are the sequences and fights memorable, Why, Sergeant Johnson? But the music for this mission is awesome as well. Oddly enough, this segment is listed on the official soundtrack under the name Greatest Journey, and there are a couple of extra other bits heard beforehand, but this segment just makes it brilliant, and once this kicks in, you know you're in for a wild and epic ride. You need to make an escape from the collapsing Halo ring as things explode and disintegrate before your very eyes, and you have an ear-meltingly good soundtrack to do it to. You literally feel like you're on a crusade to victory, even though you're essentially running away like a little pussy. And that's partly why this track is successful. It's grand, it's empowering, and it gives you all the more reason to soldier on and make it out alive like the complete badass that you are. Chief, I salute you. At the mere mention of this game, all I can do is go, oh my god, best game ever! I came out of playing Shadow of the Colossus a changed man. I was baptized with one of the greatest gaming experiences I have ever come across. That large, foreboding landscape, those humongous, terrifying beasts, that bloom lighting, and that music. Freaking oh my god, that music. The tracks are deep, atmospheric, and meaningful, and are actually designed to leave you asking questions as you play. You slay a Colossus and the music doesn't sound joyous, it sounds forlorn and unrewarding. The actual fight music, however, is superbly epic, but one track sticks in my mind for some slightly different reasons. Well, what can you say? You're at the final Colossus, you have no choice but to take it down, but all the while you're made to question your morals, and no other track achieves those feelings quite like Demise of the Ritual. Unlike the rest of the fight themes you've heard so far, this one doesn't sound epic or adventurous. Those droning strings, that airy choir, and the evil sounding church organ all come together to form something that leaves you asking if all you've done so far is worth it. I think the name of this track is rather fitting as well, because it almost sounds like some form of ritual, like it's preparing you for what happens to you afterwards. Spoilers! You're gonna have to play it yourself to find that out. All that I will say, however, is that I love this game and I love this music.
Now before I get to my number 1 choice, I'm going to share with you another piece of video game music that didn't quite make it onto my top 5, but was so tantalisingly close to doing so. I like to call this segment the one that almost made it. And here we go.
Okay, real talk. You seriously missed out if you passed up the opportunity to play Banjo-Kazooie, widely regarded as the absolute best of collectathon platformers. Virtually everything about this game is extremely memorable, but nothing is as memorable in this game than its antagonist, Gruntilda the Witch. As you play, you constantly get wound up by this wicked witch, making her appear ominous and tricky, and this build-up leads up to a very big payoff. The final battle atop Grunty's lair is as epic as it is challenging, and it has an indubitably awesome theme to accompany it. Do you know what? I don't think I've ever heard of a more intense version of the Teddy Bear's Picnic in my entire life, and it totally works for this final fight. It sounds chaotic and menacing in parts, and every instrument is busy playing some form of the epic, fast-paced melody. The texture is thick, and the volume is loud and fierce, and all credit has to go to composer Grant Kirkhope for pulling this off with the limited materials he had at his disposal. I think that this is a fitting climax to a journey that has started from humble beginnings and ends with a face-off as stunning as this.
Worthy mention there, even though it didn't quite make my top 5 list. And now, here is the one you've all been waiting for.
Yes, it's Mario at the #1 spot. I mean, what the freaking surprise! Bad Italian accents aside, no other video game soundtrack has stirred my emotions as much as the one from none other than Super Mario Galaxy. A superb soundtrack for a superb game. It's a grand and intrepid background for what was probably Mario's biggest ever adventure! Planet hopping through the cosmos while listening to Mahito Yokota's wonderfully crafted blend of orchestral magic and sci-fi pizzazz is a joyous experience. And I honestly wish I could nominate the whole soundtrack for #1. But I'm only allowed one song, it's 'cause that's the rules. And so here are the honourable mentions. Battle Rock Galaxy, Gusty Garland Galaxy, Melty Molten Galaxy, Comet Observatory, Good Egg Galaxy, Bowser's Galaxy Reactor, they're all so good I think I'm gonna explode! But I've decided in the end to nominate this for the #1 spot. Yeah, you may want to pay a visit to the laboratory because you might have just crapped your pants. And if you didn't, then you're a big fat liar. The moment you hear this music kicking, you know you're in for a serious duel with your arch nemesis. And when you know that the safety of the whole universe is at stake if you fail to stop him, I mean, if there was some sort of chart that correlated the seriousness of the situation with the actual situation, this one would probably take the cake and eat it. Even though the cake is a lie, it would still take it and eat it. I love how they decided to record this track entirely from the orchestra and not from any programmed elements like in other boss battles, because it makes the whole experience that much more menacing. You have the harrowing brass calls, that driving timpani, and the choir chants of Satan himself. Throw it all together and you've got the formula for one of the best, if not the best, boss fight themes of all time. And after going through and completing the story of its sequel, I have to say the music in that game is almost on a par with the original. But I think the first game's music has held up more for me. So for now, Nemesis King Koopa from Super Mario Galaxy is my #1 favourite piece of video game music, and nothing is going to change that. Yet.
And there we go, that's my top 5. And now I think that... Hang on a second. What's that? What is that? Okay, who the heck are you?
Well, my name is Rez, and I'm a bit of a video game music critic. And there are an awful lot of people out here who really want to share their favorite tracks with you.
Oh, alright. Oh well, isn't that nice? I guess you'll want me to take a look then.
Of course, there's a lot to see.
Awesome. Well, what are we waiting for then? Take it away!
So my favorite piece of video game music is Mega Man X's Storm Eagle, because it freaking rocks.
The Battle for Everyone's Souls in Persona 3.
NMH from No More Heroes.
Potential for Anything from DVV.
My number one video game music track would be the final boss theme from Pokemon Colosseum.
My favourite track from any game would have to be Wormhole Surfing from Awesome Noughts.
My favourite video game track is the main theme from Final Fantasy IX.
A despair-filled farewell from Shadow of the Colossus.
My favorite song from Final Fantasy VII, and pretty much my favorite song of all time from a video game, has to be the World Map theme.
The theme song for Halo 2.
My favorite song comes from Mega Man X5, and it plays when you fight Zero or X.
One of my all-time favorite music tracks of gaming of all time is a Subterranean theme from Airframe Gym 2 that's present in Lorenzen Soil.
My favorite video game song is Gusty Gardens from Super Mario Galaxy.
The title screen from this game.
And a big thank you to everyone who's contributed there, and a special uber thank you to ReZonance from Dumpster Chicken Shows for just giving us a friendly little visit there. If you have any feedback about this video, or any suggestions about other game music tracks that I haven't mentioned here, do write them in the comments below. Trust me, there was a lot of good stuff I had to leave out, and it really upset me. Other than that, that's it for today. All I can say now is, stay you, and stay awesome, and I will see you guys later on.
Hey, thanks for watching, you lovely people. Be sure to give a like and a favourite if you liked the video, and if you really liked it and you want more, consider subscribing to The Richaado Show so you can be among the first to see new content when it's ready. Thanks again, and I shall see you guys later on.